All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. After dropping their first two games of this NFL season, the Baltimore Ravens are in a groove. The Ravens have won their last five games, and the formula has been very simple: run the ball effectively. Baltimore has been leaning on their running game, but unlike it has been in recent years, it's not just all about quarterback Lamar Jackson. Over the offseason, the Ravens signed running back Derrick Henry, and the veteran back is showing that he still has plenty left in the tank. After a slow start by Henry in this Ravens ground game, King Kong Henry has gotten it going, as in four of Baltimore's last five games, all which were wins. He has himself at least 100 yards on the ground. Now, currently, Henry is leading the NFL in rushing, and barring something unforeseen, this is going to mark the first time during Lamar Jackson's career with the Ravens, excluding his rookie season where he was not the full time starter, that he's not going to be the team's leading rusher. And it's also going to be the first time since 2014 that a Ravens running back reached 1,000 yards on the ground. It happened with Justin Forsett. Gives you an idea of how long ago that this was. So you look at the Ravens with their ground attack in the groove that it is, and they're rolling on offense because they've scored at least 28 points in their last five games, which have all been wins. All right. So you look at Baltimore right now. They've dug themselves out of that hole. They find themselves tied currently atop the AFC North with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they appear to be on track. Does Baltimore for their sixth playoff appearance in the last 7 years? And with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, the Ravens, they've been close, okay, but they just have not been able to get over that hump and get to the Super Bowl this year. You have to get to the Super Bowl, period, but you have to wonder if this is going to be the year. I'll tell you like this: as long as Baltimore continues to run the football like they have been, they have themselves a very good shot. I mean, it's one of those where there are a lot of teams out there, I guarantee you, that had an opportunity to sign Derrick Henry, didn't. And I think they're kicking themselves. And also, on the flip side, I think Baltimore probably was the best place for him to go with the way he runs the football and the running ability of Lamar Jackson. Is kind of like pick your poison. And you look at Derrick Henry, it's kind of like a heavyweight boxer. You deal with the body blows, you deal with the body blows, and eventually he's going to hit you with that big punch. And, we've seen it in some of Baltimore's games where defenses held him down and then he got it going. You look back to the Cincinnati game a couple of weeks ago where after Evan McPherson missed that field goal in overtime, Derrick Henry, who had been held down during regulation, got it going for the key run that helped the Ravens win the game. You think about his big run last night in the win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a big run to help seal the game against the Washington Commanders several Sundays ago. The bottom line is great running backs, and Derrick Henry is a great running back. You can't keep them down forever. Eventually, they're going to break one. Um, I think it's going to be very interesting to see this offense. Granted, if everybody stays healthy for the postseason. The reason why I say it is this: is like if you look at the Ravens' postseason losses with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, the opposing defenses has been very simple. They've basically been able to create pressure with their front four. Their linebackers act as spies. Sometimes they blitz. And then on top of that, they dropped the safeties and they basically contained Lamar Jackson in the pocket and dared him to beat him with his arm from the pocket. Unfortunately, for his sake, he hasn't been able to do it. But there's more talent around him this year. You've got Mark Andrews, who's healthy. Again, you also have Derrick Henry. You have the likes of Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman at wide receiver. They've been there in the past. I get it. But maybe this is a year where it all comes together. Still a lot of football season to go, regular season and the postseason. But right now, offensively, Baltimore is looking good. They're 25th in the NFL defensively in yards allowed, but they also have 22 sacks so far this season, and they appear to be on pace to get 40 plus sacks with the pressure that they have been able to create. So you look at this team, and John Harbaugh, the Ravens head coach, he has his finger on the pulse of this team, and you got to like the Ravens' chances because it's coming together right now. This team is believing in themselves. They have a couple of winnable games ahead of them. They're at Cleveland this Sunday, and of course, we know that the Browns are in shambles right now. Then they host the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos are going to be a tough out. And then they host Cincinnati on a short week on Thursday Night Football. And of course, we saw the game earlier this season between the Bengals and Ravens. For all intents and purposes, it should have been a game where the Ravens lost, but they found a way to win. And that game with Cincinnati is the lead up to the first of two meetings with the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. But nonetheless, Baltimore has dug themselves out of that hole. They were 0-2, and they were 0-2 in the AFC as they lost to both Kansas City and the Raiders. So you look at this team, they've gotten it together, they're rolling. And if you're the Ravens, let's see if you can keep this momentum going. The bottom line is it's no longer just about Lamar on offense. You got Derrick Henry back there. And again, as long as they can keep the big fella healthy and take some of that pressure off of Lamar Jackson, this Ravens team is going to be very formidable. It's been one of those where we know what Lamar can do at quarterback. We know that he's an athlete, okay? But typically, when you look at the stats at the end of the season, it's always Lamar Jackson leading the Ravens in rushing. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. Like I said, you keep Derrick Henry healthy, you should be good to go. That them signing him to me is a game changer. We've seen it in recent weeks. This Ravens team has a lot of confidence, and they're playing like a confident football team right now. Not overly confident, but confident nonetheless. And I think that could carry over to a strong second half of the season for Baltimore, and hopefully for their sake, bigger and better things in the postseason. They've been knocking on the door come January, but they have not been able to get over that hump. Will this be the year that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens finally get to the Super Bowl? Super Bowl's in New Orleans. Last time the Ravens did win the Super Bowl, it was in New Orleans, clearly with a different cast of characters. Basically, John Harbaugh was the head coach. All of those players from that team, they're long gone. Okay, they come back, when it was time to honor the legends at M&T Bank. But nonetheless, after the slow start, the Ravens are on a roll, and let's see if they can keep it up and get themselves into that postseason derby. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. Like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.